Microsoft doesn't compete for attention. It controls infrastructure. Most people think Microsoft became dominant because it made great software. Windows, Office, familiar tools. But software isn't the real advantage. Microsoft's advantage is structural. It became the default environment where modern work happens. And when you become the environment, you stop competing for attention. You become required. Here's the core idea. Most companies sell products. Microsoft sells standards. Standards shape behavior. Behavior creates dependency. The strategy of becoming the default early computing was fragmented. Different systems, different file formats, different workflows. That fragmentation created friction. And organizations will pay to remove friction. Microsoft understood that. So it didn't just build tools, it built a common language. Windows didn't need to be perfect, it needed to be everywhere. Because everywhere becomes normal. And normal becomes default. Default decisions don't get debated, they get repeated. Office worked the same way, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Those weren't just apps, they became a shared format for how organizations communicate. Contracts, budgets, reports, slides. Once everyone speaks the same format, switching stops being simple. Why switching is so hard? Most people imagine switching as a download, but companies don't switch tools. They switch systems, and switching systems has hidden costs. Training time, support tickets, compatibility issues, security reviews, downtime, lost productivity, and the biggest cost, risk. Here's where it gets interesting. In enterprise, the best product doesn't always win. The lowest risk system wins. Microsoft positioned itself as the lowest risk system, and that compounds over decades. Workflows are the real lock-in. A product is replaceable. A workflow is not. Workflows are where time lives. Habits live there. Templates live there. Approval chains, compliance routines, naming conventions, file structures, everything invisible that keeps an organization running lives inside workflows. When a company uses Excel, it doesn't just calculate. It builds decision-making, forecast models, KPIs, dashboards, budget logic refined for years. Those sheets become institutional memory, and institutions protect memory. So Microsoft's power isn't people like Word. Its businesses are built around Word. That's a different kind of advantage. Ecosystem integration. Microsoft's real advantage is not one product. It's how everything connects. Windows connects to Office. Office connects to Teams. Teams connects to identity and permissions. Those permissions connect to security and compliance. Each layer reinforces the next. Individually, you can replace pieces. A chat app, a spreadsheet tool, a note-taking tool. But replacing the whole ecosystem becomes a migration, a multi-month project, an internal political fight. Most companies avoid that. So they stay modular insert, distribution plus procurement, lock-in. Here's the part most people skip. Microsoft didn't only win through product design, it won through distribution. For years, when companies bought new computers, Windows came pre-installed. That meant Microsoft wasn't being chosen. It was being inherited. And inheritance becomes habit. Habit becomes standard, and standard becomes policy. Then Microsoft reinforced that advantage with procurement behavior. Enterprise buyers don't purchase software like consumers. They purchase continuity. They purchase vendor stability. They purchase support. They purchase compatibility. So Microsoft built pricing and packaging around organizations, not individuals. Volume licensing, bundles, multi-year agreements, add-on services, security layers, admin tooling. The goal wasn't one-time revenue. The goal was renewal, because renewal is where dominance becomes predictable. And once a company renews Microsoft year after year, Microsoft becomes budgeted, not debated. It becomes a line item that automatically survives every planning cycle. That is structural power. This creates a quiet trap. Even if a competitor offers a better product, the competitor must beat more than features. They must beat training time, migration risk, compatibility issues, internal resistance, security reviews, compliance checks, downtime, and the political cost of being the person who changed the system. Most organizations don't want that risk, so they stay with what's already embedded. This is why Microsoft doesn't need to win public attention battles. It wins internal renewal battles. And renewal battles are fought through friction. Microsoft's strategy is reducing friction to stay, while making friction expensive to leave. Azure turned Microsoft into infrastructure. Azure was the pivot. Instead of selling software that runs on your machines, Microsoft began hosting the machine. Compute, storage, databases, security layers, identity, monitoring. Infrastructure is quiet, but essential, and essential systems create leverage. Because once a business runs on infrastructure, switching isn't inconvenient. It's risky. Power through invisibility. People talk less about Microsoft today, but businesses rely on it more than ever. That's the endgame. Brand power demands attention. Infrastructure power removes alternatives. When something becomes invisible but essential, it becomes hard to replace. The illusion of competition. From the outside, Microsoft appears to compete like every other technology company. New products, new updates, new announcements. But internally, its strategy operates differently. Microsoft doesn't chase attention cycles. It builds layers of inevitability. Each new service connects back into something already adopted. Each innovation reinforces an existing workflow. And over time, competition stops being about who is better and becomes about who is already embedded. This creates a subtle psychological shift. Users don't ask, "What is the best tool?" They ask, "What works with what we already use?" And that question quietly eliminates most alternatives before they are even considered. That is how Microsoft turns presence into permanence. Not by replacing competitors, but by making replacement feel unnecessary. Closing insight. Microsoft didn't become dominant by competing for attention. It became dominant by controlling standards, by owning workflows, by reducing friction, by turning default into dependency. Power doesn't always look exciting. Sometimes it looks like necessity. And Microsoft's strength is becoming the system modern work depends on, without demanding constant recognition.